Okay.
Okay, so what we're doing here is we're just searing it, right? I'm going to actually brown it a little more. I'm going to turn it up. We're not cooking it all the way through. We're just browning it, right? And then we're going to put it in the roasting pan with the garlic and the ginger and all that other stuff. And then we're going to stew it in the oven for quite a few hours with a fair amount of liquid, with a few vegetables, just to really get it nice and juicy and tasty. Okay, that's what we're going to do. Okay, so we're using, what is this one? The JVC camera. I don't know, it's kind of acting up. But besides that point, so as you can see, there's 4 chickens there. I've washed them, rinsed them out, let them drain a bit. This is what we're going to cook them in. Here is the pork, right there. Tisha and I, we got it all ready to go. Put a bit of water in there. And in this one, we're going to do just what? Garlic? You don't want to do ginger? Nah, just garlic. We're just going to do garlic and spice on this one, but we're going to sear it as well, just to give it that added flavor. And then I'm going to double pack it in my oven, people. So hold on. Okay, people, so this is what we're doing here. We're doing the same thing with 4 chickens, right? I showed them to you. And we're just searing them, because the searing, what it does is it retains the juices in the meat. And it just gives it that little added flavor, right? So that's what we're trying to do here. We just want the extra little added flavor, right? And so that's just turn up the heat a little bit, and we're going to just do all 4. And then we're going to put some garlic in there, maybe a little teeny weeny bit of Worcestershire sauce, right? My stove is crooked, so what I do is I just move the pan. This is lard, animal fat, real lard. Tender flake lard, right? Okay, we'll come back. Okay, so basically this is where we're at. You can see what I've done. Tisha busted up some garlic. That's all we're putting. We're not putting ginger in this one. So I just sprinkled it on top. Now, obviously, what sparked me is because I made that meal the other day, people, with the pork, right? And the sweet potatoes and everything. And like I said, it worked for Amari. Anyway, I was going to make a soup, which I didn't do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this broth instead of water. Instead of putting water in here, I think I'm just going to take this as is. It doesn't have a lot of taste, but it's still nutrients, right? So I'm going to put that in there, and we're going to cover it up. You can see what's going on in my oven. We've got the pork on the bottom. This one here, with the cover on it, is going to go on there, and then we're just going to cook it, and get lots of delicious juice. All right, so I put that liquid in there. I strained it through a strainer, right? And it's a fair amount. It's about almost, I don't know, 2.5 inches. So now I'm just going to do a little bit of Worcestershire sauce, just a few dabs of it, not too much, right? And I don't think it's going to lose that much more liquid. It might rise by another inch after the chickens cook, but that's okay because we want to stew it now, right, people? That's what we're going to do. And then at some point, probably in the next half an hour or so, I'm going to put some vegetables in there, right? Just specific, I'm not going to fill it up, but I'm going to just fill in the gaps with some sweet potatoes, carrots, that type of thing, just to add the flavor, because I'm trying to get the juice, because this is the juice in combination with this, in combination with the juice with the pork, whatever, right? This is how I'm going to be canning. I'm not making gravies. I might make something in one, like I might make a small batch with gravy, but the majority of it is not. It's with broth. Hold on. Okay, I don't really know if this camera is working. There's something wrong. It looks fine that way, but when I turn over the screen, it gets all weirded out, and I can't. It looks like my old camera, people. I don't know if it's weirding out. You can't recording. Like, if the battery's not holding its charge. I mean, like, Jesus. Right? The directions I'm using online, I don't know this. Anyway, what I've done is I've taken 2 sheets of tinfoil, And I'm making it tight, right? So it'll keep everything on the inside, right? You can see. Let me turn this around. And then you take the not so shiny part and you put it up, because then the heat, it goes in. If you have the real shiny part up, that reflects the heat. It pushes it away. If you have the dull part side up, then the heat goes in. Okay, so just to show you how I'm doing in my oven, the big one is over here. That's very heavy. It's got 4 chickens in it, top shelf, right? And then the pork is on the bottom. I kind of pushed it off to the side so you get the heat going up this way into this pan, right? Because if you put them side by side underneath, like over each other, on one on top of the other, it's not going to cook as well. So you need to be able to have it circulating around, right? I used to be able to cook, I could still do it if I needed to, people. But yeah, no, I could cook. I could cook for 25 people or more in the space of 4 days. Hold on. Okay, so moving along, as the pork and chicken are cooking in the oven, Tisha's left. She'll be back tomorrow. So in the meantime, I'm just going to keep on going. What time is it now, people? It's 5 o'clock. We still got our chicken in here. Right, just going to turn it up a little bit more, bring it back up, and then turn it back down. You can see the broth is getting darker. I got this yesterday for $5. I thought that was a really good deal, right? And what it is it's cane sugar. That's what it is, people. It's cane sugar, right? So I'm just going to fill up these jars. And then another thing that I've been trying to do is ferment. Remember, right? So this is probably ready to taste, right? Everything looks fine in there. The cucumbers are pretty good. And I did give Amari some of the cucumbers right along with the pork and the sweet potato that I made. And I'm thinking maybe this had something to do with it. Not the cabbage, but the cucumber, the fact that it was fermented with salt, right? So hold on a minute. Okay, so anyway, this is like long-term food storage, right? Like I said, I have food storage in the house. I'm just topping it off. I actually got another bag. I had got 2 of these, right, because they were fairly reasonable. This one was even a little more cheaper than the other one, right? So anyway, as you can see what's going on here. So I'm going to just top this off. That's good enough. And then I'm just going to pour the rest of this one into that one. I'm just going to stir it up, right? So basically what I've done is I've put some in a jar like this, right? Just keep it out close on the counter so when you have porridge, it's handy. Otherwise, they get in here and they dig this out and put off the lid and get freaking sugar all over the place. This here is cream of wheat, which I have in storage, right? So if you can see what I've done here. Now, remember that grinder that I got, people? Just hold on a minute. Okay, so if I was to get creative in terms of wanting to grind something, why couldn't you grind up this type of sugar that's like more crystallized and, you know, kind of create your own confectioner sugar so that you can make icing for desserts, cakes and stuff, right? I might try that someday. I just wanted to point that out. Okay, so what I'm doing here, people, is I don't have a lot of kitchen space. I really don't. Okay, that's all baby bottles and baby nipples and all that stuff. That was taken over by that. What I'm going to end up doing here, people, is I'm going to get up into this cupboard. I'm going to at least take down these 2 shelves, right? I don't know where I'm going to put it. Some of it I might pack away, put it in a box. I'm encouraging Tisha to get her own place, right? That it would go to her. If Shimei was alive, she would have had some by now because she'd probably be in her own place. Or whatever, right? So anyway, that's where I'm going to put the canned food after it's canned, is in this cupboard, so that it's convenience, right? So that you don't want to bury it, because like I said, I have food storage. I don't have things that are, you know, like this is good. I've got like the sweet pickles here from 2018. Whoops, sorry. You can see that, right? And you know, I got that in storage, but I wouldn't put Amari's food in storage because the purpose of this is for him to eat it and the rest of us. So these 2 jars I'm not using because I am just going to be working with half pint sizes and pint sizes. That's a pint. That's a half pint. Right? And however they go in the canner, I bought 4 or 5 boxes of jars. One of them is 1.5 quarts or 2 quarts or something per jar. So obviously I'm not counting with those, but that's more for food storage, right? That's more for that kind of stuff. And then I bought a whole whack of these, and I bought the other half pints that really you use for fish. Okay? So I'm just getting everything ready. This is my little workspace. Right? Okay? I have to take this old school blender and put it on that side. Hold on. Okay, so I just took the pork out of the oven. I haven't lifted up the tin foil yet, but everything's starting to smell good in here. Okay, it's 5:30 now. This has been in the oven for at least 2 hours because it got in there. I'm pretty sure. I think it was. What do you call it? 3:30. So what I'm going to do is now I'm just going to stick it back in the oven. I'm going to move the ginger. I'm going to just pour some juice over everything and just stick it back in the oven for a little while longer, just so it browns a bit more, right? And as you can see, the juice is rich, and that's exactly what I want. That's exactly what I want, people. Hold on. Okay, so we're going to take a little detour here, because I've been meaning to do this for a while. Gotta love these jars, people. Right, this is powdered milk, fresh. This here is, what is it? That's raspberry leaves. I should be outside picking a few more and fill it right up to make raspberry tea. Anyway, here is a quick mix from a little book. What is it? Magic in the Mix. So I'm going to make that up, and I'm going to put it in there. I'm going to do a double batch. And then what happens is, that is good for just the basics for a pancake mix, waffles, crepes, that kind of thing, right? There's shortening in there, people. Now, I know there's a debate about shortening. You know, you want more animal fats than shortening, right? Versus like vegetable shortening. But if you make this mix, it can sit on the counter for quite a long time. And so, in the case of Amari, like, he's not getting those things, right? I suppose if we start making pancakes because it's convenient to make them and affordable, then, you know, we're going to try and give, oh, hold on a minute, give Amari that opportunity to eat it, right? But in Amari's case, well, even Andre, right? Like, real maple syrup has calcium in it. It's very high in calcium. Real molasses that can last forever in a shelf has calcium in it. Okay? So, obviously, you're not going to give baby molasses. You're not going to like it, right? But the maple syrup, for sure, right? And then, as I was shopping with Amari, I came across these. Can't even see the writing on it, people. That's how bad my eyes are. This is what? Buckwheat honey? Buckwheat honey? Right? And then this one is wildflower. I wanted to see if there was really a difference in taste. They had organic, but the jar was like a 1 pint, a little smaller than 1 pint, and they wanted like $11 for it. And I said, this one was 14. Right? This one here is 14. And it's 1.36, and I bought 2 of them like this. 1 each just to try it out. I have, what do you call that stuff? Maple syrup and all that stuff around the house. The point is I'm going to do this right now, just as a little detour, so that, you know, because I'm not only thinking about Amari's needs, but like Andre likes pancakes, and, you know, versus having to go in there and start from scratch, you just come with a cup, throw in a little bit of milk, a little bit of eggs, away you go, right? Hold on. Okay, so what I'm noticing is these batteries on these cameras do not last very long. For whatever reason, they're not lasting. Anyway, I just did the 8-cup recipe there. You can just Google any kind of quick mix, and then you use that as a base, and you'll come up with a whole bunch more. So, you know, that's what I'm doing right now, as that stuff is in the oven. Right, we were going to do vegetables and stuff like that, but anyway, that has to come out and cool, and I got to separate everything, and so that will be my job, right? That will be the end of the video as to what I've finished in terms of getting the meat ready for tomorrow and the broth. And then I guess tomorrow will be the vegetables. So this is shortening, right, which is a vegetable fat. So it's 2 2/4. So you put that in there, and then you take a pastry cutter. Well, first you take a knife and chop it up into pieces, and then you take a pastry cutter and you work it into your dough, well, your flour anyway, and then you put it in your jar, and it's good to go, right? So, because again, you know, I can't be in the kitchen. I mean, in the good old days, I used to be in the kitchen every day making cakes and casseroles and all that stuff, right? So they got this at 2 1/3. How's that possible? Oh. Oh no, that goes up to a half, I guess. Okay. And they want 2 1/2. So it's 1 pound. 2 1/4 cups vegetable shortening is approximately 1 pound. So that's the whole thing here. Right? Maybe a little more. It's 2 1/2. They want 2 1/4, not 2 1/2. Anyway, you get the point. Okay, so I'm just gonna, as I'm turning this into meal, that's what it's called, right? I'm just gonna read to you kind of quickly what you can do with this mix, just to give you a general idea if you've never used it before. I used to do it in the past when my kids were at home, everybody was at home, you know, a lot more traffic, right? Kids would make for themselves, right, as they grew. So anyway, you can make super duper donuts. Sounds good, right? You can make sunshine coffee cake, morning muffins, quick pancakes, golden cornbread. We're not really cornbread eaters around here. Crispy breadsticks. Sounds good, right? Never fail rolled biscuits, curried shrimp rounds. That sounds really good, people. Self-crust cheese tart. Sounds good. Right? That's just some of the things you can make, right? So, anyway, what I've done is I've done 1 jar already, like 1 batch, right? I did 1 batch. You can see it takes up almost the whole jar. So I'm just making another batch. I'm going to fill up the jar, and then the rest I'll just put in a smaller jar. Something like this, if there's anything left. And then tomorrow, Tisha can make Andre some pancakes when I'm off doing something else. Okay, so full jar. These are covers that I made for them when I bought them. You can see, that's one. That's just leftover, so we're going to start with that one first. So this little interlude is over. Now we're going back into the meat. Hold on. Okay, so quickly moving along, as you can see. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this back in the oven. It's been in there already for 3 hours and a bit, right? Well, 3 hours anyway. So I'm going to put it in there for a little while longer just to stew it, because I'm wanting, it's the broth that I'm going for on this, people. And then I took off the rind, and I'm going to put that back in the oven and crisp that up, right? But this is what I want for Amari, this right here. Do you see that? Right? In his meals. Okay, so do you see how that's nicely bubbling away in there, people? And it's browning. So it's almost done now, and I'm going to take it out and let it cool down, and then I'm going to, as you can see, I'm getting out the bowls now, right? And then I'm going to separate everything, let everything cool down, and I'm going to put it in the fridge. And after I take out that, then I'm going to put that back in there and crisp it. Okay, so this is the broth from the pork, you can see. This is the ginger. This was at the bottom of the pan. If you're using that kind of pork with those kind of bones, you have to pinch in there to take out anything that's small, right? And here is the meat. You can see there's lots of it here. And now we're going to let that cool. These are the bones, which I'm probably going to suck on. And that's another thing that Amari doesn't get, because he doesn't get to chew on things, suck on things, right? So lots of bone marrow in there, right, people? So I'll probably suck on those anyway. And then to get the bone marrow out. So I'm just going to take this and put it in there and stir it around. And that's pretty much just going to stay like that for now. Although I've got 2 more chickens. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get them ready. And I'm going to put them in that other roasting pan. But what I'm going to do for this time for the broth, I'm going to put less water. And I'm going to put a lot of sweet potato around it. And carrots and that type of thing to give it that flavor to add to this flavor, right? Or to this flavor, which either or, it doesn't really matter, right? So hold on. Okay, so moving along, looks like this battery is low again. Like, I'm seriously, there's something wrong with these batteries. But besides that point, I mean, something is better than nothing. This works much better than before. It's just an inconvenience with the battery because it's going to kick out. So that's cooling. Going to have to move it onto this side once I get this in the oven. So it's 7:30 now, so I'm going to cook this up. But only this time, people, I'm going to put it in the oven. I've got a lid for this one. You can see there's the lid, right? And then I'm going to now prepare some vegetables. I'm going to do parsnip. I'm going to do lots of sweet potato, right? And we'll put some carrots in there. And what that's going to do is it's going to flavor the liquid, right? And then that liquid I will add into either this liquid or I'll add into that liquid depending on what I'm doing and what I want, right? Or maybe I'll just keep it separate with that. So hold on a minute. Okay, so before this battery runs out, there's some garlic. So I'm going to just put some garlic in there, right? You see? And we got, as if you were making dinner. Right, there's a big bowl there. Do you see that? So I'm just going to piece that all in there, in between all the meat, and let it cook with the lid on, like you normally would. I'm not too impressed with these chickens. I'm kind of suspicious about them. I'm thinking they came from China because they're a little bit too plump, and if you notice, they're kind of really floppy, right? So, you know, I don't know, people. You got to watch where you buy your food, man. Okay, so what I did is I just sprinkled the rest over. There was just a little bit of that brown sugar that was left over in that bag. So I just sprinkled all over it, and then a little bit of salt, right? The vegetables are going to lose their own juice. There's only a little bit of water in there. So now we're just going to cook this, and I'm going to get up on this, right? Yeah, you'll see. So that's brown meat so far. Just that, what's in there. There's the broth. Just straining that, feed that to the cats and the raccoons. That's mostly white meat. This is the wings that I'm going to maybe bake in the oven tomorrow with some barbecue sauce. These are the bones from those chickens, which I'm going to just put on the side there. And if you notice, I added a bit of carrot. I added 1 big carrot in there and a celery stalk just to give it a bit more flavor, right? This is going to cook all night, people. So this here, I'm just going to throw those back in there, because we want bone marrow from the bones, right? This is what we want. This is what I want, right? Just gonna let that cook all night long. Hold on. Okay, so that's from the chicken. It's got the garlic in there, and little bits of this, little bits of that, right? A little bit of fat. Everything's gonna come to the surface, but at some point, I'm going to want that anyway. So here is this. You can see what's happening, right? That's the pork. It's pretty good. White meat, brown meat's already in the fridge. Tomorrow I will put those in the oven with barbecue sauce. That's the chicken wings. And this is going outside for the raccoons and the cats. And then we still got that cooking. And I'm going to turn it down like last night and leave it. I'll probably maybe put just a bit more water, not too much. And then in the oven, we still have the 2 more chickens, which at some point, they'll come out of the oven, and I'm going to put them in the fridge.